And I will just go ahead and get started. Thank you. Hi, everyone who is here. Today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about how to communicate the value of your language skills in a professional setting. So whether you're a language major, minor, or you're just taking an SILC course to meet some requirements, this workshop is about helping you articulate what you're actually gaining and how that expands your career options. Just a little intro about myself. I am Madison. I am a career coordinator for Career Services. I am located on the Polytechnic campus, and I've been with Career Services for 2.5 years. So happy to be here with you guys today. Here is our agenda for today. We will look at the real career value behind language studies. So that's how we'll get started. And then we'll learn a simple way to describe your experiences so that employers clearly understand your impact. Then we'll apply that to resumes and interviews. And finally, we'll explore how language skills expand your career options. Before we dive in, I do just love to know who my audience is. So if you guys could drop in the chat what language you're studying, and if you have one in mind, what career you are considering. No pressure to have it figured out. Also maybe your year, just so I can know who's in the room. So yeah, if you guys let me know what language you're studying, just so I can know my audience. And like I said, what a career, if you know right now, you're considering. Okay, Spanish, not for career, for personal reasons. I love it. Anyone else?
Yeah, sometimes people will learn languages because maybe they want to travel abroad or live abroad for a while, or because maybe they have family members who speak another language and they want to be able to communicate in that language with family members, or maybe you just enjoy studying languages and have fun with it and just like to learn new things. Um, but yeah, lots of reasons that people study language. Sometimes people do it for the career to kind of put on your resume, for the career benefits.
And I see got another response from Julia, Spanish as well, considering career in developing food and education access, first year global health major. That is awesome. That is a very amazing career goal to have. I love that. Awesome. We have a senior minoring in Spanish. You're taking Japanese for fun. That's awesome. It would be cool to use these languages at work, but for now, it's mainly just for its benefits. Cool. So it sounds like you guys kind of know. Awesome. That is such I love the range. It looks like most of us are Spanish. So that is helpful to know. Thank you guys for that. Awesome. So moving right on to one of the biggest myths that students hear when they're studying a language is, what are you going to do with that? And over time, that question can start to sound like, is this practical? Is this employable? But here's what's actually true. Employers care deeply about communication. They care about adaptability. They care about cultural awareness. They care about perspective. Language study builds on all of these components consistently, and hopefully by the end of this presentation, I will have you all believing that. In fact, demand for bilingual workers in the US has more than doubled in recent years based on job posting data. So I just thought that was kind of a cool statistic to throw out there. So let's break down what you're actually developing. So when you learn grammar skills, you're strengthening analytical thinking. When you study culture, you're building global awareness. When you practice conversations, you're developing real-time communication skills. You guys can read the rest, translating, precision, so many different amazing qualities. So the real question becomes, how do we communicate this to employers? So let's zoom out for a sec and talk about why this actually matters in the workplace. Today's organizations operate in increasingly global and diverse environments. You guys know this, I don't have to tell you. Miscommunication isn't just awkward, it can cost companies money. Cultural misunderstandings don't just create tension, they can damage relationships, slow projects down, and sometimes even lose clients. If you can navigate language and cultural differences effectively, you're helping reduce risk and increase trust with your employer. And so this is where the shift happens. So up until this point, we've talked about the skills you're building and why they matter. And so now the question becomes, how do you communicate that clearly? So saying I'm bilingual is true, but it doesn't necessarily demonstrate that extra value. So instead, you could say, I communicate complex information across cultural contexts. Another example, instead of I studied French, you could say I build trust with diverse stakeholders. Hopefully you guys notice the difference. One is descriptive and the other is impactful, showing the impact that you have made with studying French, being bilingual. Perfect. So now let's make this practical. At Career Services, we use a very simple formulation to describe experiences clearly and professionally, and that is called accomplishment statements. This is the format that you want to try to stick to, and that's action verb, project, and result. If you guys want to scan that QR code, it will bring you over to our document that has an accomplishment statement example and has this formatting on there as well, just to be helpful. This works in resumes, it works in interviews, it works in networking situations, and I'll show you guys how to do that in a sec. So to give you guys an example, instead of I studied Spanish, you could say developed communication skills through advanced Spanish coursework, improving my ability to navigate diverse team environments. So we started with an action verb, which is developed. We named the experience, so it was advanced Spanish coursework, and then we showed the result or the skill that was gained. So that was improving their ability to navigate diverse team environments. This is the format that employers respond to. Like I said, this is the format that I show to students all the time. Like I said, for bullet points, for interview responses. So definitely keep this in mind. We will practice on this in a second. So employers talk about something called career readiness. The National Association of Colleges and Employers, or NACE for short, identifies these 8 core competencies that employers consistently prioritize when hiring college graduates. Language study naturally builds on many of these competencies, as we've kind of talked about. So every class discussion, group project presentation, you're practicing career readiness. I know sometimes we don't always make that connection, but hopefully this will help you do that. These charts come directly from the employer surveys conducted by NACE. These are just helpful for me to show students. The first chart shows how important employers rate each competency. So the one on the left-hand side. And then the second one shows how employers rate graduates in demonstrating those competencies. So you guys can kind of see the key takeaways from these charts are communication and teamwork consistently rank at the top in importance for both of those. But employers often report that graduates don't demonstrate those skills as strongly as they'd like. So as you guys can see in that second chart there. The real issue isn't whether we have these skills, it's whether you're communicating them clearly and confidently on your application materials. And you can do that in your accomplishment statements. Another little data point I wanted to throw out there, 9 out of 10 employers in the US report they rely on employees with language skills other than English. So I know I can definitely attest to that. My first job out of college was with a nonprofit. I was a case manager. And yeah, I know that bilingual was one of the top looked for requirements. And I know that we did have a bilingual case manager and she made some more money, which I'll shout that out in a little bit as well. So like I said, now we'll apply this directly and practice writing an accomplishment statement. So I'm going to give everybody some time. If you guys could please choose one experience connected to your language learning. So there's some examples on there. You could talk about, like I said, a project that you've done in course, a presentation, if you're involved in tutoring, if you've done any translation. And then go ahead and utilize that formatting. So action, verb, project, result. Miriam also dropped that document. That was the accomplishment statement document in the chat as well, if you guys want to look back at that. I also have another QR code on there that has action verbs, and it's just a list of a bunch of different action verbs if you guys are struggling with coming up with that. So yeah, you guys are going to start with a strong action verb, then you're going to identify the project, and then the result, what was the outcome that came from it. So I put one of those examples up there, developed communication skills through advanced Spanish coursework. I already read that one to you guys, but that's just an example so you can see the formatting. So I'm going to give you guys like 3 minutes to draft one up. It doesn't need to be perfect. This is really just practice. Like I said, this can become a resume bullet point or an interview example. And if anyone feels comfortable sharing in the chat, I would love to see a few, but also no pressure. I understand that this is brand new. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a few minutes to do that. Go ahead and try to put an accomplishment statement together. And if anyone has questions, you guys can come off mute. We are here. But yeah, let's go ahead and practice one. And I have some examples in the next slide that I'll show you guys after we practice. Let me give you guys another minute. And if any of you guys are done, and like I said, if you want to drop it in the chat, we would love to see some examples. But like I said, it's okay. Oh, I see Julia dropped one. All right. Researched health issues impacting specific cultural groups through academic presentations, improving my understanding of diverse global health disparities. That is beautiful. You actually like did such an amazing job at following the formatting. Good job. Has just given us a prime example. That was beautiful. You did an action verb, you did your project, and you did your result. I'm going to shout out that most commonly students will leave out that result portion. And that is often the most important part. Like it's really showing like what your project was, like what ended up happening. Like, okay, cool, you're talking about your task, you're talking about your project, but yeah, what was that result? And that result for Julia was having a better understanding of diverse global health disparities. And I love that.
And it's very aligned to your career interests, it sounds like.
Hey, okay, I've seen another example. Conducted interviews with native Spanish speakers for a sociolinguistics assignment. I love that word. Building conversational proficiency and real world language application skills. You guys are doing amazing. Yes, that is once again another great example. You did perfect with the formatting. And also that's like a really beautiful accomplishment. I love that. Thank you, Brandon. So you guys are already doing, yeah, great at this. So I'll say if I know we have another person, if they want to share, you guys definitely can. But thank you guys so much, Brandon and Julia. Those were beautiful examples. Please put those on your resumes or use those in your interviews. Perfect. Go ahead and move on. So like I said, I was going to show you guys some examples. We just had some awesome examples from your peers, but here are some additional ones. I just wanted to show you guys once again, breaking down how you can see the formulation is working. And so, yeah, you can kind of just see before, after. So studied abroad in Italy, adapted to a new academic and cultural environment while completing coursework in Italian, strengthening independence and cross-cultural communication. So awesome. If any of you guys have done any study abroad, you can kind of tweak that and make it your own. Spanish tutor facilitated individualized Spanish tutoring sessions, improving conversational fluency and cultural confidence for 10 plus students. Something I actually didn't shout out that is actually in that example is a number. Any way you can quantify anything in a bullet point in your resume, employers will really like to see. So any way you can include a number, it's just like something that employers' eyes get drawn to numbers. So sometimes it'll just stand out to them. But yeah, if you can, that's like a good way to include that. Awesome. And so here's something a lot of students don't realize. Your classes and academic projects can absolutely go on your resume. So I know we just kind of talked about that in the example, but especially if you're in your early career. So I know we had some first year students in here. We recommend if you want to include your coursework. So I have a little example right there that you include only advanced coursework directly relevant to the job that you're applying for. And you can see in the example there, we want you to write out the full name of the class, not using like the abbreviations, and avoid listing classes that everyone in your major has taken. So this is a good place to try to differentiate yourself. But yeah, this is an example as to how you can list relevant coursework. And then projects, which I definitely would say are a lot stronger to include on your resume. If you include a project, make sure it aligns once again with the job posting. Look at the skills in the job posting itself. And what they're asking for, so that you can show how you've developed those skills throughout the project that you're going to include. So you can see in the example there, you want to create a section title. You can title it academic projects, and then you'll list the project like a job title. So you can see in the example there, you'll list the project name, the university that you did the project at, so Arizona State University, and then Tempe, Arizona right after. So it's similar to how you would put your a job posting, and then you would use bullet points. And so that's going back to those accomplishment statements. That's exactly what format you'll follow as the action, project, and result. And that's how you can turn your academic work into a professional experience. Like I said, like definitely, I know I have students come in all the time and say, like, I don't have any experience. And then we talk about, yeah, you are in classes, you're working on all these different skills. It's really just like finding ways to express it. Awesome. And so the same formula, I know I've kind of been talking about this, works in interviews as well. You don't need to have like super over dramatic stories. Class projects can count as examples. So this is definitely a very common question that you can get in an interview is tell me about a time you worked with diverse perspectives. And so in my advanced Japanese coursework, I collaborated with peers from different cultural backgrounds to analyze communication norms through group discussions. I learned to adjust my communication style and actively listen to different viewpoints, which strengthened my ability to navigate diverse team environments. I know like an interview example is definitely a lot more difficult to kind of like give, but this is just so you can see that the accomplishment statement does apply as well in interview questions. Really, I tell students is that you just want to make sure you're fully answering their question. Giving them an example is a big thing with interviews. So yeah, just make sure you're fully giving them examples. That's what they want to see. So no matter what industry you guys go into, these competencies matter. Just so you guys can kind of see some of the connections in business, cultural awareness helps build international partnerships. In healthcare, communication and cultural sensitivity directly impacts patient outcomes. In policy or in international relations, cross-cultural understanding shapes decision-making. And then in education and nonprofit work, perspective taking and inclusive communication are foundational. So this isn't about finding the one job that uses your language. It's about recognizing that the skills you're building apply almost everywhere. So you're not limited, you are differentiated. Research also suggests bilingual employees can earn between 5 to 20% more than their monolingual colleagues on average. So this is both professional value and financial value. I know that some of you guys had mentioned in your chats. And so as we wrap up, if you'd like support translating your experiences into resumes, interviews, even exploring industries if you guys are not sure what you want to go into. That is what a big part of what career services can help out with. So we have career advisors that you can meet directly one-on-one with. I actually started out here as a career advisor, got promoted to a coordinator. So, but we have lots of advisors that can meet one-on-one. These are only a few of the topics that they can cover. Like I said, resume, career exploration, any of those things. If it's career related, we can help you guys out. So if you guys do want to make an appointment, the main platform that we utilize is called Handshake. That is where you can set up an appointment. It's also where you can find jobs and internships as well. So I'm really going to shout out Handshake. If you guys have not been on it, please browse around, look for opportunities there. But yeah, like I said, you'll see the Career Center, and then you can schedule an appointment directly with one of our advisors. And I want to leave you guys with this. Your language skills already hold value. The key is translating that value clearly. So when you move from I studied a language to I bring strategic global skills into professional spaces, you shift how employers will see you. And that's really powerful. Thank you guys so much for being here. I know I went through that so quickly, actually. But if anybody has any questions, please feel free to, like I said, come off mute, drop them in the chat. Hopefully this was helpful. Miriam, I believe, is going to share this out. I will send over my presentation as well that has a lot of the links and QR codes and stuff that you guys can use on your own. But yeah, like I said, if anybody has any questions, I am more than happy to help answer them.
One thing I was wondering is I know we mentioned interviews briefly. So what are your tips for preparing for interviews when those kind of that list of words may not be kind of your most natural speech, that might not be the most natural to you in the way you talk?
Yes. Honestly, what I would say for interviews is practice is honestly what's gonna make it easier. So we actually have a platform. I'm like, did I put it on here? Shoot, I didn't. Let me pull it up. It's called Sun Devil Career Prep, and you can do mock interview practices like on there. So it actually has an AI individual reading the questions out for you, and then it films your response. So it recognizes if you're using too many filler words, if you're, it's funny, I say talk with my hands too much. I talk with my hands a lot. But it gives you feedback directly on that. But let me find here we go. And then we also have some additional resources. We have like a lot of cool, fun videos as well that I would recommend that you guys like if you're looking for any tips. We have them pretty much covering like all different topics. So that can give you kind of some interview tips. Obviously, it's telling you to practice, but Sun Devil Career Prep is our new mock interview tool specifically. And yeah, you can do mock interviews, job preparation, question bank. And so, yeah, it kind of gives you some examples as well as to how to best answer some of these questions, which is really helpful in the question bank section. But yeah, I think that practice is really what is going to help you the most in interviews. But yeah, we have a lot of resources that can absolutely help you prepare. And once again, we do mock interview practices with our advisors. So you can also schedule an appointment with one of us. I'll say, yeah, this is a really good one, like practicing your responses to common interview questions. And yeah, just gives you like some examples on how best to answer them. But yeah, my like biggest advice is to answer the question fully, because even myself, like I will omit giving examples and stuff like that in interviews. When like you kind of got to brag about yourself is what I tell students with resumes and interviews. So yes. Oh, Brandon, I see. Yeah, unfortunately, I see. Ramp is a good one where you can take turns interviewing appeal. Oh, okay. I haven't heard of that before. Cramp.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
Yes.
Is anybody preparing for like specific applications for like a part-time job or an internship or for after graduation? Or are you just kind of preparing more generally for whatever the future holds? Internships, nice.
Yes, I'd say internships is something I always recommend to students. I think that's what helped me get a job out of college pretty easily is I had volunteer experience and I had an internship experience. So, because yeah, kind of going back to like students thinking they don't have experience just because it's not paid opportunities, like it doesn't matter. Employers do not care. Experience is experience. So yes, internships is a beautiful thing, Julia, for you to be looking out for. So yeah, Handshake's a perfect place for you to look for those.
So now if you have your resume, if you've created a resume, which I imagine a lot of people have, I think a lot of applications need them, like even to apply for, different things you might be doing.
Yeah.
But now you can always go back and get that list of powerful verbs and do some editing and some adjusting.
I'll say, and speaking of resumes, I'm going to actually drop this in the chat because this has a lot of our example resumes. We have a lot of resources. I only touched on like one of them or two of them. But yeah, like I'm just going to say like it can be difficult to navigate. If you make an appointment with our advisors, they can like that's what I used to do for a lot of students is show them how to like find everything because yeah, there is so much on here. It can be overwhelming for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of example resumes right here. This is my favorite one. It does not matter based on, and hopefully I like kind of explain this. It doesn't matter what industry like you select specifically. These are really just different examples. But yeah, you're more than welcome to, if you don't have a resume or if you don't like how yours looks, you can make a copy of this. You can see there's a few people in here right now. You can make a copy and make this your own. You can edit it, put all your information in it. It really is a good way to make sure your format's all taken care of because that can be difficult. There's a lot of specifics with resumes. So yeah, you guys are more than welcome to utilize our example if you would like.
Nice. I'm also curious to know from participants, what kinds of events would you be interested in seeing in the future from SILC in terms of either career-focused events or um, just other SILC opportunities? Is there anything that you are really wanting to set up or really really would want to participate in? Definitely let me know.
Yes, they are. That is a beautiful question. We have an alumni advisor actually specifically. But yes, all of our advisors meet with alumni, and yes, you still have access to your ASU email and stuff like that. So you will still have access to Handshake and all those different resources. Miriam and I did talk right before we let everyone in that Handshake is going away in the summer. I think I'm allowed to tell people that. Hopefully I am. But we're moving to a different platform. So once that comes out, you guys will get emails up the wazoo about it. But I do just want to let you know that, especially if you are a graduating senior, to look out for that because I'm sure there's going to be some sort of like transition. I don't honestly know, but yeah, that will happen for the fall. Not kind of far away, but yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely let me know about any other event opportunities that you would want. Any other kind of thoughts? Like, is this time a good one for you? Do you prefer events that are earlier in the day? Because I really want to make sure that we're meeting students' needs and getting you kind of the resources that you want. So yeah, feel free to let me know any of that in the chat as well. Um, and then did anybody sign up for the March or the April ones yet? The March internships talk or the career panel in April? If not, if the times work for you and if it's something you're interested in, then those are kind of the other two in this series. So that could be a great one. I really hope to see you there. Madison, do you have any closing thoughts?
I do not. If you guys want to fill out this survey, I would appreciate it. It's just filling out how I did with the presentation. But yeah, you guys are learning some amazing skills. It's really just making sure that we know how to articulate them. So hopefully this taught you guys a little bit. You guys did amazing with writing the accomplishment statement, so I think it did. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, I don't think I even put my email on here, did I? Let me go ahead and do that. If you guys have any questions, it's just my first last name at asu.edu. But yeah, you guys are more than welcome to reach out to me. Um, but yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. And you guys are doing awesome because you guys are coming to these events. Like Miriam said, we're trying to figure out what like the best time is for students. So yeah, if you can let her know, let me know. Like we love it. We're not students, so we don't know.
All right, I see. I'd love to know more if there are events that talk about testing when it comes to languages, see what level someone is. Definitely, so like the B1, so like the ACT-FUL testing. Yeah, absolutely. That's something we could look into. Madison, this could be a question for you. Is that something that employers look for? Is like a specific language level?
Honestly, from the research I did with this, I didn't see anything. I feel like something would have popped up, but I can definitely like look into that. I don't know.
Yeah, because I know maybe for some industries, maybe, for like specifically language education industries or ones that are very focused on language. Um, so yeah, potentially. So yeah, I know that I did way back in the day, I went to school to be a Spanish teacher. So I know I did like the OPI, the proficiency exam for that, but that was again very specific to the language education field. Um, so yeah, I can definitely look more into that. If you want to email me that question, if you are wanting kind of a more detailed response, let me put my email in the chat so that you can do that. Or if anything else, other feedback, other questions comes up. All right. So Madison, it looks like the survey doesn't let us choose the 2026 as the date.
Go ahead and choose 2025. I think actually someone let somebody know that our survey's like that and they didn't fix it.
We're just
So
living in the past.
that's so funny because thank you for filling that out though. Like I would say you're the first one to do that. I appreciate that. But yeah, just do 2025, and just do February 25th, 2025. And I will let our team know. Thank you for letting me know about that though.
Yeah. And then Madison, are you done with screen sharing?
Yeah. Oh, I'm on my Slack.
You on
Yeah.
your Slack? You're good.
Sorry.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you all so much for your time. We ended a little bit earlier, so you have some more time back to enjoy your evening, but I hope that everyone had a good time and it was great to see you. And I look forward to seeing you at the next event in February, or sorry, in March if you are able to be there. See you later. Oh, signed up for the internships one. Awesome. More events like these are helpful. Great. All right. Yeah, we're looking at doing more, so I'm glad to hear that. But yeah, I'll hang out for a minute while you all head out just in case anyone has any last questions. But I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week.
Sorry, I have like one last question because I'm not like really like my major is totally like not language related. I only have like I only took like courses to help kind of like supplement, but when it comes to like putting down on a resume, do you have like any advice as to like what other experiences like post when you're like when like not in school anymore that could help like enhance like the resume? I'm mainly based in like the health sector field, but I think like in general, like in any field, education or yeah.
So you're asking, I'm sorry, what? So you're asking how do you articulate language skills on your resume after graduating?
Yes, because like I think for me, most of my experiences with language is like just through coursework. That's like because it's like not really like my main like major or focus.
Right.
So, is there like any tips for like enhancing that on the resume after like college is done?
Yeah, I would say definitely. And it once again does matter based on the job you're applying for. So like this is all like kind of depending on if it's asking for these types of skills and stuff like that. What I would say for you is that maybe adding just one of your class, I'll say I can get my screen back up just to show my little PowerPoint. Is yeah, kind of doing similarly to where we had that adding a project to your resume, or adding a like the class specifically. And I can actually we have a specific, let me get you the website that has this because yeah, right here, add a class or project. So I would say that doing this would probably be the most help for you. Is yeah, either adding it as relevant coursework right there. Once again, if they are asking for it, or you can add it as, yeah, like an academic project. And you can talk about one of your projects you did in one of your courses. That would probably be the best way, I would say, to highlight it.
Okay, thank you.
Do
Yeah,
resumes
let
still
me.
have a skills section, or is that in the past? I know it
So
changes so often.
yes. So we recommend a technical skill section. So yeah, you can see, yeah, it is definitely limited. I tell students like it definitely is up to it does depend on the industry. So like I can say engineering, they do need a skill section. Like it's usually required. But like I'm like, I've never had a skill section on my resume. I've worked in education, I've worked in nonprofits. So like it is very industry dependent. But what we say is yeah, reserve it for technical skills. And so yeah, that would be like if you know Python, you know the different Microsofts and stuff like that, just technical skills. Those like soft skills, the communication, the career competencies, we say those are better impacted in your bullet points. So like putting those like how you've improved your communication, like we did in the examples. But yeah, that's what I would say is just for technical skills.
But a language would be a technical skill.
I know it's funny that we're like talking about that, but yes, yeah.
Nice. All right. Any other final questions or final thoughts? We will hang out for another minute or two while you head out.
Good questions
And
though.
then I'll go ahead and close it down here.
Thank you for holding this session.
Thank you for coming.
Have a good evening.
Thanks,
You
you
too.
too.